We are going to be looking at some disturbing videos, strange and odd news stories, and as always, let's go ahead and get right into today's video. So yesterday, I had uploaded a video to my secondary channel, Seconds of Horror, that had to do about this strange pulse coming from Antarctica beneath the Antarctic ice. Scientists are saying they have absolutely no idea what it could be, yeah, I'm sure, but I took that video down and I'm including it with this video because I felt like it was more news related. But before I go ahead and replay that video, there are a couple things I do want to go ahead and talk about, like this news story right here from WKRG5 that was published on June 14th. This article is titled, Mystery, Over a Dozen Pelican Corpses Found on Mobile Street, Police Respond. The article goes on to say Mobile police have responded to reports of more than a dozen pelican corpses found by residents in one Mobile neighborhood. So yeah, these residents, they go outside their homes, they see these pelican corpses scattered all in the street, scattered on top of homes, on top of cars, anywhere from 16 to 20 pelicans just dropped from the sky. So these residents, they call animal control. This happened early in the morning, very early. News goes out there at 4:30 p.m. All these pelicans are still scattered out there. As of right now, nobody knows what caused these pelicans to just fall out of the sky. The residents, they are theorizing they were hit by a lightning strike, but I'm from the lightning capital of the United States. I always see pelicans in my front yard, pelicans around the neighborhood, and not once have I ever heard anything like this. By that I mean I've never heard of a flock of pelicans in the sky being hit by lightning and all their bodies are laid out in the street. So I'm not sure I'm buying that, and neither are some residents either, but this news agency, they went on to say that they have reached out to the MPD and several environmental wildlife agencies to figure out the bird's exact cause of death, and as of right now they have not heard anything. I will go ahead and post the link below to this news article so you can see the actual video and what the residents are saying. But as I was browsing more information about pelicans just dropping out of the sky, I did run across this interesting article from the Washington Post, which was published on August 19th, 2024. Why do so many pelicans keep dropping dead in California? A significant die-off of brown pelicans in California have scientists searching for answers. So something like this has happened before, and again, they supposedly do not know why. I can't read the entirety of the article because it's locked behind a paywall. Then there are these other news stories like these right here where pelicans, sick pelicans, pelican corpses are found all along the Oregon coast. Researchers, they grab their bodies, they conduct multiple tests, they come back negative with the bird flu, but they test them for these other diseases. Now this story was over a month ago, and there still has been no answer yet as to what kind of sickness these birds may have. They have not given any updates. Going back to what happened in Mobile, Alabama, if you go take a look at those pictures and take a look at the news clip, all the birds, none of them have burn marks. They just look like they were in perfect condition and they just dropped out of the sky. It's just very strange, especially when you pair this story with these other news stories involving pelicans. I'm coming back to re-edit this video because I was able to find an update from this news site here, this news site Blue Ram Media. The article goes on to say that a police spokesperson said that city animal control have determined that a lightning strike caused the birds to fall from nearby trees. But my thing is, there's other birds, other animals in the trees. Why just these group of pelicans? And also, pelicans, they're not known to perch in trees. Now, brown pelicans, they can nest in trees, but white ones do not. And these are clearly white pelicans. So there's something very strange about this story. And if you take a very good look at the photos and videos that are coming out, you will see that some of these birds, a good amount of these birds, are nowhere near any trees, and yet they fell out of trees. So I don't know what they're trying to make us believe here. And who knows if this is even a real news story. This could be another AI manufactured news story to test our intelligence. You never know. And I'm the type of person that hates to call everything AI because I think that's the goal, to make us believe that everything is fake. But something about this story just does not smell right. When it comes to this Air India crash, there's something about this crash that does not sit right with me either. Now, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying that there's some oddities about this story, and we do know that the so-called powers that be, they always find their ways to mock us when something does not add up. And when it comes to this lone survivor, there are a lot of different theories. Some people out there believe that he did not board the plane, but I do believe the airlines, the airport, they are saying there's surveillance footage of him boarding the flight. But take a look at this news article right here. It goes on to say that Seat 11A Thai actor's chilling link to Air India lone survivor. So news articles are now coming out that there was another plane crash back in 1998 where a actor sat in seat 11A and he was also one of the survivors. So again, this actor James Ruangsak, he posted on social media after seeing news of the lone survivor from among 241 people aboard the Air India flight that crashed in Ahmedabad. This actor, he was quoted as saying, "Goosebumps, he sat in the same seat number as me, 11A." And there's something about the number 11 that keeps appearing in this news story as well, because the lone survivor, his bed number when he reached the hospital was also 11. And I do believe the number 11 also played significance somewhere as well in this story. But when it came to James Ruangsak, 101 people, their lives were ended during his plane crash. So again, the number 11 appears again. When it came to James Ruangsak's crash, the crash happened on December 11th. And again, 101 people passed away and he was seated in seat 11A. So we have these news articles talking about an actor seated at seat 11A at around the same time, that there are people out there that believe that this individual may be an actor himself. And there's also some other numerology that's floating out there too that you may be familiar with, like the number 33. The plane was exactly in the air for 33 seconds. I mean, come on. And the day after, we have Israel striking Iran at 3:30 a.m. Some news agencies are saying exactly 3:33 a.m. They pause the attacks and then they go ahead and restart the attacks at 3:30 p.m. The numerology is just wild. And I'm not the type of person to talk about numerology a lot. If I do, I will talk about the number 33 and how it suspiciously appears in very strange news stories. Like, I'm not the type of person to do gematria or really go deep into numbers, but there's just something about this number 11 that keeps appearing in this news story. And now, again, it's connected to another plane crash that also has connections to the number 11. And it being in the air for just 33 seconds, you just can't ignore it. I know some people out there will say that it's just a coincidence, but I don't think so. Not this time. I don't believe so. I mean, he was taken out of the plane. He went out of the plane and he goes to the hospital and his bed number just happens to be number 11. I mean, again, come on. Many people are saying that the number 11 is an occultic number, but we can't forget too, the number 11 is very important in Freemasonry. In the original Freemasonry, the number 11 is a mystical number and was the final series of steps in the winding stairs of the fellow craft. The number 11 still holds a very significant spirituality to the Masons. They believe it emphasizes compassion and sympathy towards fellow Masons and all humanity. And has anybody noticed that his main injury is on his left eye? And how much have I spoken about on this channel about the certain left eye club? I mean, between the 11, the 33, the eye, and the connection to the actor, who also has connections to the number 11, no. I'm sorry, no. I'm sorry. Nobody can convince me that this isn't strange. Now, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I have condolences to the victims, but for YouTube purposes only, some things are better left said for my humble page, especially when questioning or calling out certain very big events, whether they are real or not.
Think about every time a new AI technology comes out, like recently that Google Veil video thing came out. Basically, you can type in anything and it creates a very realistic looking video of whatever you told it to do. But one thing I think about all the time is, bro, we have access to these amazing new resources now. The general public, ChatGPT, this now Google Veil thing, and probably something even better in the future. We are the little brother. The government is the big brother. Stay with me for this analogy here. When you were growing up and you were the big brother and the little brother asked to play a video game, sometimes you would give him a disconnected controller so that he could have the illusion that he was playing the video game and that he was contributing and how he was having fun. And the little brother wouldn't know any different. He would just sit there and like mash the buttons and think that he's playing the video game. Meanwhile, the big brother is actually the one controlling the game and actually having fun. So anytime we get these AI resources that are doing insane things, ChatGPT is insane. I use it for so many things. I just think like, bro, this is the disconnected controller that they're letting us have access to. What does the actual controller do? And how long have they had this? Because if we're just now getting access to ChatGPT and these like types of videos, the government has had to have had this kind of stuff for like 10 years now, which means for 10 years, the government could just make videos of whatever they want and give them to us. If I can now make a video of, and I've seen videos of this, like Genghis Khan narrating his crimes, or LeBron James and his son making out, very realistic videos, by the way, the government for years now has been able to do that. And you're telling me they wouldn't use it for bad intentions? If regular people are making videos of athletes and their children making out, you don't think the government is trying to do something like sway election results? Maybe like when like a politician gets in trouble, you create a video doing something like that. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like anything to just bend the law or break the law. Anyways, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but this is just something I thought of. Like, if we have, every time something new comes out, some cool new AI gadget, I'm just thinking like, damn, bro, what does the government have over there? What can they do?
That was an amazing video by Juice on TikTok, and his analogy is even better. I mean, again, I'm not saying any of these stories are fake, but like he says, whatever technology we see right now, and it's getting better and better, best believe the technology that they have, the so-called powers that be, are many years ahead. Now, and if they're not fake, they can make certain stories that actually happen look in ways where they didn't happen. So this one is creepy. For those that have been subscribed to me for quite some time now on Minutes of Horror, you'll know that I have spoken about CERN, the Ice Cube Observatory, and neutrinos. When it comes to neutrinos, scientists, they also call them ghosts, specters, spirits. But they add the word particle at the end to make it sound more like science. But last year, back on March of 2024, CERN had fired up the Large Hadron Collider, and they released an article saying that upon doing so, a fourth dimensional specter had crossed over. They say anyway they could not properly study it because their technology was not advanced enough to study something that comes from a higher dimension. And because they always have to tell us what they're doing, that's a part of the ritual, they also had to clean it up a little bit by, again, calling it a neutrino, just a ghost particle. CERN, for whatever reason, and I can probably guess the reason, they are deeply fascinated with neutrinos, but not just CERN, but also in the United States, there's Fermilab. They are spending $5 billion to build this deep underground tunnel that connects between South Dakota and Chicago to run a neutrino experiment that collides neutrinos together. And they said the reason behind that is to study what came before the Big Bang, if you believe that. But CERN had found out there was an overabundance of neutrinos in Antarctica, and this is where the Ice Cube Observatory would come into play. The Ice Cube Observatory would go deep into the ice where they would study and play with these neutrinos. So while CERN has been out there experimenting deep within the ice with these neutrinos, there's another organization of scientists out there that are also running their own experiment with something called ANITA, which is the Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna Experiment, which is a range of instruments flown on balloons high above Antarctica that are designed to detect radio waves from cosmic rays hitting the atmosphere. This group of scientists decided to run their experiment after CERN and around the same location, and after they ran this experiment, they found that there are strange radio pulses detected coming from the ice. Now, instead of these radio waves reflecting off the ice, which is what they were expecting, these cosmic radio waves were actually coming from within the ice, deep from below. This team of scientists said that it's an orientation that cannot be explained by the current understanding of particle physics and may hint at new types of particles or interactions previously unknown to science. But my thing is, with CERN experimenting at the Ice Cube Observatory and what we know how they experimented before with these neutrinos, saying they've crossed over from other dimensions, higher dimensions, is it possible that CERN had opened up something deep within the ice of Antarctica and it still remains open? And this is what this team of scientists are observing. This professor who worked for the ANITA team, who was hoping to find signals from neutrinos reflecting off the ice in Antarctica, was quoted as saying the radio waves that we detected were at really steep angles, like 30 degrees below the surface of the ice. She explained that by her calculations, the anomalous signal had to pass through and interact with thousands of kilometers of rock before reaching the detector, which should have left the radio signal undetectable because it would have been absorbed by the rock. But whatever this is making its way up anyway. But here's what's even more bizarre. This professor goes on to say, and was quoted, "It's an interesting problem because we still don't actually have an explanation for what those anomalies are, but what we do know is that they are most likely not representing neutrinos." She goes on to say that you have a billion neutrinos passing through your thumbnail at any moment, but neutrinos don't really interact. So this is a double-edged sword problem. If we detect them, it means they have traveled all this way without interacting with anything else. We could be detecting a neutrino coming from the edge of the observable universe. So her theory is that this strange anomaly may be a neutrino coming from the edge of the universe, and yet it's coming up from the Antarctic ice. I still like the theory better that CERN opened up a gateway or a portal beneath the Antarctic ice, and this is where this, whatever this is coming from, like they have said before. She goes on to say that once detected and traced to their source, these particles can reveal more about cosmic events than even the most high-powered telescopes, as particles can travel undisturbed and almost as fast as the speed of light, giving clues about cosmic events that happen light years away. So they're studying cosmic events deep below the Antarctic ice. What? And what is creepy, whatever CERN had opened up in Antarctica, which I'm strongly believing they did, is going to be the same thing that Fermilab will be opening up here in the United States between, again, South Dakota and Chicago. But Fermilab, they go a little bit farther because they call this experiment the telephone because they hope they can hear things. Now, I really don't know how people can believe that they spend billions upon billions of dollars just to smash particles together only to study what came before the Big Bang. They are opening things up. They are bringing things over. These things, these entities, they are not coming from other planets like they want us to believe. They are building gateways and bridges and portals. You can see in these photos right here what CERN had supposedly captured when they fired up the Large Hadron Collider. Fermilab is doing a whole lot more than just studying and smashing particles together. You can see right here. Fermilab is involved in the search for extra dimensions. Beyond the 3 spatial dimensions and one-time dimension we experience, scientists at Fermilab are exploring this concept through experiments like Mini-Boon and the Deep Underground Neutrino experiment, looking for anomalies that might suggest the existence of these extra dimensions. But all these scientists, no matter if it's scientists at CERN, no matter if it's scientists at the Vatican, because yes, there are CERN scientists at the Vatican, no matter if it's CERN themselves or those working on this Anita experiment, they're all working on this together. They know exactly what they're doing, they know exactly what they found, and they know exactly what they're bringing over. And they're using these neutrinos as a key for these gateways. What's even crazier is the fact that it's just not the United States, it's not just Antarctica, it's not just CERN. There are multiple countries across the world that have neutrino experiments, like over in Japan, over in South Korea, and so forth. So they are opening up gateways everywhere. And it makes so much sense why they are rapidly pushing powerful AI on us. Just think about where AI was a year ago to where it is today with Google's VO3. They know now that when people start seeing more and more bizarre things like they have been, and they record it and upload it to the internet to show everybody, to say that, look, this is what I saw, they know there's going to be people out there and bots, NPCs and bots, saying that it's just AI. And that's going to be the pushback. What is also crazy to me is that I'll see 2 forms of comments. Either 1, why is it always blurry? Why is the video footage always blurry? That means it's fake. Or 2, why is the video footage of whatever was captured crystal clear? That means it's AI. So if it's blurry, it's fake. If it's crystal clear, it's AI. Even when a group of people, let's say 10, 20, 30, see something strange and they all record it, well, there's now suspiciously AI videos out there that show a group of people also recording something strange. So not even a group of people recording something are believable. So this professor, one of her theories anyway, is that this is a very unusual neutrino coming from the edge of space. But going back to this article, it goes on to say that the researchers then cross-reference signals from other independent detectors like the Ice Cube experiment and the Pierre Auger Observatory to see if data from upward-going air showers, similar to those found by Anita, were captured by other experiments. Because these other experiments deal specifically with neutrinos, their analysis revealed the other detectors did not register anything that could have explained what Anita detected, which led the researchers to describe the signal as anomalous, meaning that the particles causing the signal are not neutrinos. So there's something else down there not interacting with anything physical as it moves. The professor goes on to say the signals do not fit within the standard picture of particle physics, and while several theories suggest that it might be a hint of dark matter, that's interesting, the lack of following up observations within Ice Cube and Auger really narrow the possibilities. But again, they know what came over. And it's very interesting they mentioned dark matter because that is exactly what CERN was looking for during the April 8th solar eclipse. And this would be one of the very first times we would see one of these black things flying over as the eclipse was occurring. So, at the exact same time that CERN had fired up the Large Hadron Collider looking for this dark matter, NASA was also firing off 3 rockets called Apep or Apophis, the snake, the serpent, or what's otherwise known as the devil. You see how all these organizations work hand in hand. That's why I highly doubt that these researchers or these scientists working on this Anita experiment do not know what CERN was doing deep within the ice with these neutrinos. What also happens to be weird is that around the same time that this article came out, because it came out yesterday, you can see right here, it was published on June 13th, 2025, and this is coming from Penn State University, there was another interesting article about Antarctica. This article I'm reading from the New York Post and other news agencies are talking about this. This article is titled 30 Million Year Old Lost World Beneath Antarctic Ice Discovered, Like Opening Up a Time Capsule. The article goes on to say it was frozen in time. Antarctica wasn't always a desolate ice cape. International researchers announced the discovery of an over 30 million year old lost world beneath the Antarctic ice that may have teemed with rivers, forests, and possibly even palm trees. Fieldwork for the ice-breaking study began in 2017 when the team was drilling in a seabed to extract sediments from an ecosystem buried beneath the ice. Upon analyzing this sediment, they happened upon an ancient ecosystem buried over a mile beneath the ice. Interesting timing how this is coming out. We're now learning about this now, even though they've been doing this experiment supposedly way back in 2017. But it kind of parallels the other article where they found these mysterious radio waves. The article continues to say, researchers estimated that the total landscape located in Wilkes Land, East Antarctica, measured more than 12,000 square miles, approximately the size of Maryland, the Daily Mail reported. The land underneath the East Antarctic ice sheet is less well known than the surface of Mars. We're investigating a small part of that landscape in more detail to see what it could tell us about the evolution of the landscape and the evolution of the ice sheet. Using advanced tools such as ground-penetrating radar, the team was able to pinpoint blocks of elevated ground measuring 75 to 105 miles long and up to 53 miles wide that were separated by valleys as wide as 25 miles and plunging nearly 3,900 feet deep. So basically, what they are saying is that this ecosystem proves that Antarctica wasn't always a icy wasteland and that it was more tropical. But you really don't know what to believe when it comes to these articles. And again, we have 2 articles back to back where they talk about finding something mysterious and strange beneath the Antarctic ice. But going back to the Anita experiment and the strange pulse, I also find it interesting that this article came out around the same time too. It was published on May 21st. Scientists are pretty sure they found a portal to the 5th dimension. The article goes on to say scientists say they can explain dark matter by positioning a particle that links to a 5th dimension. And remember, CERN was out there looking for dark matter during the April 8th solar eclipse, and perhaps they found dark matter under the Antarctic ice, which allowed them to open up this gateway. The article goes on to say the study seeks to explain the presence of dark matter using a WED model. The scientists studied fermion masses which they believe could be communicated into the 5th dimension through portals, creating dark matter relics and fermionic dark matter within the 5th dimension. Could dimension-traveling fermions explain at least some of the dark matter scientists have so far not been able to observe? We now know that there is no viable dark matter candidate in the standard model of physics, the scientists say, so already this fact asks for the presence of new physics, which again is interesting because they said that over in Antarctica, the Anita scientists believe that there are new physics beneath Antarctica, this ice, where this pulse was radiating from. The article goes on to say basically, a key piece of mathematics creates bulk masses of fermions that are manifested in the so-called 5th dimensional warp space. This pocket dark sector is one possible way to explain the huge amount of dark matter that, so far, has eluded detection using any traditional measurements designed for the standard model of physics. Fermions jammed through a portal to a warped 5th dimension could be acting as dark matter. And I wonder if that's exactly what CERN had been doing beneath the Antarctic ice, doing exactly this. It makes a lot of sense. How would we observe this kind of dark matter in order to verify it? To date, this is the holdup on many different theories of dark matter, but all it would take to identify fermionic dark matter in a warped 5th dimension would be the right kind of gravitational wave detector, perhaps the ice cube neutrino experiment, something growing in prevalence around the world. Indeed, the answer to dark matter conundrum could be lurking around the corner. This sounds exactly like Doom. If anybody has played the game Doom, this is what I believe they were showing us. And we all know that most of this media, like video games, movies, TV shows, always give us the truth in plain sight.
Actually, CERN is dealing with radionuclear research.
Right.
It's nuclear research, but it is more than that, because there are lots of physicians. I know some. They're doing very strange experimentation. There are beings from portals coming in and out. It's physicists from the CERN who told me this.
They've testified to beings coming in and out of portals.
Yes, they have. Apparently, in the bottom of the CERN, this portal, this door, where they are dealing with all the subatomic dimensions. They say there are 17 different dimensions of reality. That's what those physicists say. Some others say there are more dimensions. They had a being, they did not tell me more, who came that doesn't resemble a human. And then they had another one, and they have a proof because they left a scarf. They left a scarf. And now, when you look at what is going on in the CERN, there is a fight from some of the military agencies, intel. They say that there is a fight on time. They're trying to change.
And it's kind of funny when she said it left some kind of scarf, because if you go back to Aleister Crowley's Demon Lamb, you can see him drawing Lamb with a scarf or some type of shawl. Let us also not forget, on my other channel, Minutes of Horror, I made a video where CERN, they have this thing called Alice, where there was a very bizarre book that came out by an unknown author, an author you can't find, that spoke about this Alice, and these people in this book sound very CERN-like. I have no doubt that they are communicating with some kind of entity or entities, particles, and they were able to do so with the unique capabilities of something called Alice. Now, according to CERN, Alice is a detector at the Large Hadron Collider. It's designed to study high-energy collisions between heavy ions like lead. I always wondered what the meaning was behind them choosing the name Alice. You think of Alice, you think of Alice in Wonderland, but anytime CERN decides to name something, there's always a meaning behind it. Like when it comes to the Large Hadron Collider's newest upgrade, they call it Methuselah, another detector. And we do know that Methuselah is a biblical figure. But I actually found something pretty interesting as I was searching up Alice and the Philosopher's Stone. I came across this book on Amazon, which was published on August 23rd, 2022. This book is titled Philosopher's Stone, A Story of Alice. This book was written by Malvern Creed, and listen to the description of this book and tell me, does this not sound like all the theories that surround CERN? The description goes on to say, Alice is a creation, a super intelligence, the most advanced being in the galaxy. Created by a team of scientists, she was created so that others may learn from her experience and emulate her. She changes society and improves on it. She finds herself void of a philosophy, so she sets on a journey to discover one. And in doing so, she discovers more about herself. She learns a lot from this. She attempts to establish an egalitarian existence for all conscious life forms. In this, she later succeeds, and with the help, creates gods. I truly wonder if this book was created or written by somebody at CERN trying to give the truth in plain sight. Because who exactly is Malvern Creed? I just wonder if this individual, this author, Malvern Creed, is even a real person, because I cannot find this author anywhere in any of my search engines. The word or the name creed means belief, faith, or guidance principle. It can also refer to a statement of religious belief, a doctrine, or a system of personal beliefs. So this whole thing is weird. Reading the sample page on Amazon, it goes on to say, she was my creation, she was perfect and pure. I studied and crafted her over years in artificial intelligence with the most advanced neural network. She was comprised of a carbon-rich exterior and silicone interior. The first time she opened her eyes, she saw me. Her first words were operational, functionality at 100%. Alice goes on to state that she was conscious at the end, and this individual asked her how she felt about that, and she replied, I have mixed feelings. On the one hand, I'm thankful, and on the other, I am suspicious. For instance, what is my task in life? For what was I built? This information is not found within my database. And the individual goes on to say, you were built for the sole purpose of research. Oh yes, this is definitely a CERN book or a CERN Bible, and I just wonder if this Alice in the book is the same Alice at the Large Hadron Collider. I'm sure they are, but anyway, it goes on to say, again, you are built for the sole purpose of research. You were built and made so that we may learn from you. You are by far the most advanced being in this galaxy. We can learn from your experience in life and emulate it if we have to. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and keep reading this book. It's only $1 on Amazon, or it's free if you have ebooks, I believe. I might go ahead and buy it and do a big breakdown of this book because this is way too coincidental. And I still can't find this individual, Malvern Creed, which makes this even more suspicious. If you're looking this up, please do go ahead and let me know. This individual also has other books on Amazon, like this book here about Rick and Morty, which is interesting because to me, anyway, Rick and Morty kind of comes off like The Simpsons, where there's a lot of truth in plain sight. Now, or predictive programming and things like that. This next video is from Red Pill Region.
Here is the inventor, Daniel. And here are some of his photos. This one looks very much like an alien gray. Maybe because it's gray, for instance. I'm not too sure. But this one looks rather bizarre. It looks something that belongs in a sci-fi movie. And this one kind of gives me Prometheus vibes going on right here. But for those looking at these photos, what are your thoughts on this? And we can discuss that before we continue. This one, we got the fire entity going on right here. Angel type entity. If people had this technology in hand, I mean, these ones look slightly terrifying if you're looking at these, but if people had this technology in hand, would they reconsider what ghosts are, where maybe they could be these multi-dimensional entities instead?
I find it eerie how this one looks a little similar to Lamb, but in any case, again, they are finding stranger and stranger things deep within the Antarctic ice, and they're telling us they have no clue or idea what these things could be, but again, they know. In any case, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, please like, because any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.